we all cooperate, we can figure this out a lot sooner. Let's get that computer display up, Isaac.
Use the locator system to find your next objective.
Huh, that doesn't look good. She's taken a lot of damage.
The tram system's offline. Getting around is going to be difficult. The air seems to be flowing again. That's a start.
What the hell was that?
Automatic quarantine must have tripped when the filtration system restarted. Everybody relax.
What was that? Did you hear that?
Not sure.
What the hell? I don't know. Something's in the room with us.
Jesus! Open fire! Open fire! Power!
Dead Space crashed onto the scene in 2008 with one purpose: to be the most frightening game ever made. Set in the dark recesses of space aboard a derelict ship, this stunning third-person shooter was dripping with atmospheric dread and grimy sci-fi body horror. Developed by the California-based EA Redwood Shores, who would later be known as Visceral Games, Dead Space would become synonymous with horror gaming as the industry pushed into the high-definition era of 7th-generation home consoles. Drenched with accolades and acclaim, a sequel was inevitable and arrived 3 years after the release of the original. With a grander display of gore and marking a steady shift from survival horror to action-based gameplay, the new game was just as well received as its predecessor, further cementing the legacy of the series. The third game in the franchise, Dead Space 3, would be released just 2 years later, but saw weaker success, with many considering it a step backwards for the series. Plagued by interference from the game's publisher, Electronic Arts, this final entry would be the proverbial nail in the coffin for the franchise, straying from its survival horror roots in favour of mainstream trends and franchise accessibility. As we examine the legacy of this trilogy, it becomes clear that even the best foundations can be soured by misguided oversight. Hey guys, what's happening? Nihat here with Film and Comics Explained, and today we're exploring how one of gaming's best and brightest intellectual properties fell from grace. This is part 1 of the rise and fall of Dead Space.
You know, at the beginning of the movie, it's going to be an hour and a half. You know, at the end of an hour and a half, I'm done. But with a game, you don't necessarily know how long it's going to go on. So, you know, we can continue to scare them for a long time. I think we will differ a lot from the survival horror games because we are in sci-fi. And it gives us the chance to have different types of weapons, different types of aliens. Obviously we're on a spaceship and we're out in the future, whereas a lot of the horror games that are out now seem to take place in the present day.
The seeds of the game were first laid in the mid-2000s when co-creator Glenn Schofield played the now iconic horror game Resident Evil 4. With over a decade of experience working in the games industry, Schofield had spent most of his career working as an artist on licensed games based on popular movie and television properties, including Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, Street Fighter the movie, and even the flowery Game Boy title, Barbie Game Girl. In 2003, Schofield left his position as vice president of Crystal Dynamics Game Studio and moved to EA Redwood Shores, where he became the general manager and oversaw a slew of unique titles. Following his successful work on 2 licensed action games, The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, and an adaptation of the James Bond film From Russia with Love, Schofield wanted to take things in a more disturbing direction. In its earlier stages, Dead Space was intended to be a third entry into the classic first-person sci-fi franchise, System Shock. Schofield pleaded with the parent company of EA Redwood Shores, Electronic Arts, to let them pursue this ambitious idea, but he was met with a tepid response. In 2005, developer Capcom would release Resident Evil 4, an exciting new sequel to the iconic horror game series. Following a government agent named Leon Kennedy, who travels to Europe to rescue the daughter of the United States president from a crazed cult, the game was a massive hit. With its dreary atmosphere, a landslide of scary moments, and genre-defining third-person action, Resident Evil 4 quickly became regarded as one of the best games ever made. Noting the success of Capcom's latest endeavor, Schofield altered the concept of his System Shock sequel and changed the name to Rancid Moon. Eager to taste the same slice of success, Electronic Arts agreed to let Redwood Shores pursue development when the project was pitched in early 2006. Alongside co-directors Michael Contry and Brett Robbins, Schofield and his team worked tirelessly for nearly 18 months on a prototype for Dead Space. Eager to prove themselves as more than just licensed game creators, the game's development was fueled by fiery passion, with Schofield pulling inspirations from all manner of popular media. In the beginning months of development, Schofield would often explain the project as Resident Evil in space, as it was the most succinct explanation of the tone and gameplay he wanted to achieve. The esteemed horror franchise Silent Hill also provided plenty of inspiration, with the team attempting to replicate the game's bleak and foreboding atmosphere. The squad also found inspiration in popular science fiction and horror films, with Schofield claiming to have personally watched hundreds of movies while searching for ideas. Some of the major influences for Dead Space came from iconic films such as Ridley Scott's 1979 classic Alien, creating a benchmark for the isolation-style horror the team were trying to achieve. Narrative themes were inspired by 1997's Event Horizon, which follows a group of astronauts sent to investigate a derelict ship that returned 7 years after its mysterious disappearance. Carpenter's The Thing also played a major part in the visual design of the game's signature antagonists, the shambling monstrosities known as Necromorphs. Funnily enough, following the game's release, Carpenter himself expressed interest in creating a live-action film adaptation of the game, although the project would never be realized. Further inspiration for the game was found in extreme foreign horror movies, including the work of Japanese director Takeshi Miike, whose depictions of graphic violence and depravity were both innovative and shocking. Armed with a library of disturbing imagery and a keen desire to create something special, Schofield and his team battened down the hatches and set out to create a game that would torment and terrify horror fans. After an additional year of development and testing, Dead Space was eventually released and scared the crap out of anybody brave enough to play it. Released in October of 2008 on the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 and Windows PC, Dead Space follows the silent protagonist Isaac Clarke, an engineer working aboard the Kellion maintenance ship with security officer Zach Hammond and electronics technician Kendra Daniels. Named after popular science fiction authors Isaac Asimov and Arthur C. Clarke, Isaac travels the known universe during the 26th century, where humanity utilizes giant starships known as planet crackers to mine resources from planets around the galaxy. After the first planet cracker, the USG Ishimura undergoes an unexpected communications blackout. The Kellion is sent to investigate. With his beloved girlfriend Nicole acting as a senior medical officer in the Ishimura, Isaac is doubly compelled to travel to the vessel and rescue the stranded crew. Arriving outside the orbit of the desolate planet Aegis 7, the Kellion experiences a malfunction while attempting to dock onto the Ishimura, damaging the ship in the process. As Isaac, Hammond and Kendra begin their initial sweep of the vast spacecraft, they soon come face to face with a relentless and violent alien species known as the Necromorphs.
Can't hold me here.
Personal log, Dr. Charles. I now have a live subject for my study. I'm eager to validate my tissue regeneration theory. Initial restraint was problematic, but now the patient's resting comfortably. He trusts me. He puts his life in my hands. He knows his part in all of this. Understands what I'm doing.
Elements of fanatic religion are also explored within the narrative, mainly focusing on a widespread group of zealots known as unitologists. The religion arose around the 23rd century when researchers on Earth discovered a massive alien artifact located in the Chicxulub crater in Mexico. Believing that the marker could be used as a source of unlimited energy for humanity's needs, this information was leaked by lead researcher Michael Altman, who was later assassinated in retaliation by the collective government of Earth. Followers of Unitology seek the reported clones of the original marker that have spread across the galaxy, believing that worshipping these totems will result in eternal life, along with the discovery of humanity's origin.
Stop running. Stop your struggle. Our future, your future, the future of our race ends here. Allow me to introduce you to humanity's child, the children that will replace us, our greatest creation.
Unfortunately, the markers also emit an electromagnetic field that drives nearby humans insane with hallucinations, dementia, and psychosis, eventually killing them in the process and resulting in the birth of the Necromorphs. By the time Isaac arrives on the Ishimura, the grotesque Necromorphs have already taken hold of the ship, killing or mutilating most of the crew.
This is Benson. Everybody listen up. They're using the vents. That's how they're getting around the ship. Stay away from down. Get back. Get back.
Despite its linear design and similarities to other horror games of the time, Dead Space offered a polished third-person adventure that refined the genre with significant gameplay innovations. Armed with non-traditional weaponry like the industrial plasma cutter, a flamethrower, and more, the player must navigate the blood-covered claustrophobic decks of the Ishimura. Every weapon has a primary and alternative firing mode, offering a variety of strategies in combat. Isaac's weapons and gear can be upgraded at benches by using power modes found throughout the game, while ammunition and new weapons are purchased via holographic vending machines scattered throughout the ship. Immersion is heightened by the game's lack of a heads-up display, as important gameplay information is displayed on character models and in the environment. For example, Isaac's health meter is integrated into his suit and visible at all times, along with various meters relating to his oxygen tank and other special abilities. The map, inventory, and mission objectives are emitted as holograms from Isaac's suit, which can be accessed at any time. If the player gets lost at any point, they can quickly activate the intuitive waypoint system, which directs them to the next point of interest with a blue line of light. Further innovations can be found in the game's combat, mostly involving movement and offensive strategy. While other popular horror games like Resident Evil and Silent Hill force players to plant their feet and shoot, the developers felt that this broke immersion and focused on allowing the player to move freely and fire their weapons simultaneously. This added element of mobility is key when dealing with Necromorphs, as they will often flank the player or rush them down, leaving minimal space to evade their deadly attacks. To kill Necromorphs, the player must cut off their disfigured and protruding limbs, stopping them in their tracks and leaving them vulnerable. As new variations of Necromorphs are uncovered, offensive strategies must be altered to successfully eliminate them. In addition to using the powerful arsenal of weaponry, players can slow down enemies and pieces of the environment by using a stasis ability. Heavy objects and enemies can also be picked up and thrown using an advanced form of kinesis that's built into Isaac's suit. These two gameplay mechanics are also used to solve environmental puzzles, many of which must be completed to repair parts of the ship. Given Isaac's engineering background, most of the time spent aboard the Ishimura is spent fixing failing systems and repelling the Necromorph infestation. Some sections of levels are contained in zero-gravity environments, allowing the player to leap across long distances, run on the walls, and explore the vast inner workings of the ship. The undeniably intense atmosphere of Dead Space is widely attributed to its excellent sound design and ambient score created by Jason Graves. Along with the moody lighting, the creepy audio presents a tangible feeling of fear and anxiety, punctuated by jump scare stingers. To reinforce its themes of psychosis and paranoia, ambient sound effects like disembodied voices and distant screams are present throughout the game and ramp up as the player progresses. During the development, Schofield would often have new members of the team watch scenes from horror films with the audio off, and then have them re-experience the scene with the sound on, but the picture off. This impromptu experiment further solidified the importance of prioritizing effective audio design.
Hello? Can anybody hear me? My name is Eileen Fisk. I just woke up in here and everybody was gone. I don't know what's happening. Why did they all leave? Wait, I know you. You're Harris, the prisoner from the colony. You killed that nurse. Help! Somebody help me! Please!
In the first few weeks following its release, Dead Space received widespread critical acclaim and sold nearly 200,000 copies. Initial sale figures were somewhat low due to fierce competition in the market, but the positive reviews and word-of-mouth marketing improved reception, with the game selling over 400,000 copies by the end of 2008. When it came to awards season time, it received dozens of nominations and wins from prestigious groups, including the DICE Awards, the 2008 Spike Video Game Awards, and the Game Developers' Choice Awards. By February of 2009, Dead Space reached the coveted milestone of 1 million copies sold. While the game was ultimately seen as a commercial disappointment due to its inflated marketing budget, it was praised by critics and fans and earned its reputation as one of the most innovative and effective horror games of all time. While many gamers expected a very quick sequel, EA Redwood Shores would shift their focus to other original IPs, hoping to ride the wave of Dead Space's critical success. In the end, calls for a follow-up could not be ignored. Well, that's all for today, folks. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to stay up to date on all my content. And yeah, if you have any other suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. As always, it's been a pleasure. Nihat here with Film Comics Explained. Thanks for stopping by.